Today is the day you've all been waiting for. Donald Trump's 80th birthday. Final preparations underway for his major UFC spectacle. It comes complete with a gladiatorial-style competition in Trump's own version of a coliseum, a 92-foot-tall skeletal structure being called the Claw, pumped down on the south lawn of the People's House. The White House continues to claim the UFC cage fight event is meant to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States and just happens to fall on Donald Trump's birthday. I'll note that the 250th anniversary of our country is on July 4th. It is quite similar to what the White House said last year on Trump's 79th birthday, when tanks, as you can see, paraded down Pennsylvania Avenue in an event billed as a commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. And just like last year, the weather forecast could cause problems for tonight's festivities, with showers and the chance of thunderstorms as the fights get underway. Meanwhile, around the same time of the UFC fight, the No Kings Coalition is co-sponsoring a star-studded counter-protest event called Rise Up and Sing Out in New York City, with planned watch parties across the country. This all falls one day after a major loss for the president just over a mile away from the White House, with his name being removed from the exterior of the Kennedy Center. Joining us now to get into all of this, Sabrina Siddiqui, national politics reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and April Ryan, MS Now contributor, White House correspondent, and host of The Tea on Substack. Thank you both. She said, that's right.
Entertained?
That's right. Thank you both for joining us this morning. April, I want to start with you.
Yes.
You have been covering the White House for a very long time. You are the longest-serving Black journalist to ever cover the White House.
Yes, that's right, sir.
And we've never seen anything like this. And I wonder, when you kind of zoom out and think about what happens on that lawn, what usually happens on the lawn. We were probably all there when Ketanji Brown Jackson was brought out during the Biden administration. The kinds of things that happen on there are historic, and they're supposed to bring the country together in a way, and that's not what we're seeing today.
So let me go back, and you brought up an excellent point, because I've thought back to the second term of Bill Clinton since I've covered. I remember that the then president had carnivals on the back lawn for the congressional picnic, as well for the press. They've also had gospel music in the tents on the South Lawn. They've had state dinners. When the state dinners could not fit in the dining room or in the East Room, they would make a tent.
The Easter egg roll happened.
Easter egg roll. And, you know, it was competition then with the little spoons and all the little things, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
And I've had to really think. I mean, I've seen a lot on that South Lawn. I mean, even that South Lawn even allows us to watch when the president lands and takes off on Marine One. And the president is thinking about making this permanent. And you said in your introduction that this is a Colosseum-like event. This is not the Roman Colosseum. This is not that. This is metal, this is steel, this is lights. This is nothing ancient. This is brand new, and it's demeaning. It's demeaning the office, the esteem, the sanctity, the political sanctity of that place. This is not a joke. I mean, it's no problem if a president wants to have something like this, but it could have been held on the Ellipse, right behind the White House, where there are going to be thousands more watching in a jumbotron. And the Ellipse has hosted the Christmas tree lighting there. The Ellipse has hosted a lot of things. Why the White House? Why that to signify 1776 and the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah. You know, you remind me, didn't he do the 2020 RNC convention?
Happened at the White House.
Happened at the White House. Another break in convention.
Yes.
Sabrina, let me put up this headline from the Washington Post on Tuesday. White House will be closed to reporters during UFC fight unless UFC lets them in. And the Washington Post points out the White House is ceding control of who gets into the fight event on the South Lawn in a break with tradition. This is highly unusual. This has never happened.
I mean, there's obviously been concerns about press access and transparency throughout this administration. And so in some ways, it is par for the course, even if, as you know, it is break from tradition. And I think one thing, if you just take a step back and think about what the events that are unfolding today, one thing that has been and remains true about President Trump is he is a master of distraction and political misdirection. And so think about the backdrop going into the UFC events. He's in the midst of an unpopular war with Iran. The focus is on rising gas and grocery prices. He's had these political setbacks as well as legal setbacks. And so this is now a spectacle that the administration, the White House, is very much leaning into, to the point where Secretary of State Marco Rubio is comparing the UFC's history to when the U.S. has put, a man on the moon.
Ooh, that's a stretch.
And so, you know, and it is also leaning into hypermasculinity at a time when polls are also showing President Trump has been losing support among some of the young male voters who are a key part of his coalition in 2024. So I think there is, you know, some element of politics and, again, distraction that is at play here. Is this actually going to move anyone? That I really don't think so.
Yeah. Derek Lewis, the UFC's all-time knockout leader, basically echoed something similar, Sabrina, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal this week. He said, the country needs something like this. We can distract the American people from all that's going on. Again, this is from Derek Lewis, who was added to the card at the president's request. But it doesn't seem to be working for a lot of voters. Let's actually take a listen to some voters in Ohio this week who have soured on the president.
I don't know how everybody else is surviving, honestly. I mean, we're getting by, but are we thriving? I do hear everybody complain about the price of groceries and the gas. It's just not me, but nobody wants to get word out about how bad it is.
Wages are stagnant and prices are up, you know, and he even said he loved the inflation that's going on here. How crazy is that?
I voted for Trump all 3 terms. To be honest with you, I'm not a big supporter of him at this point. Due to the economy and due to gas prices, due to Epstein files and some other things.
April, is this a messaging problem or is this a policy problem?
It's a tone deafness problem. It's a Marie Antoinette problem. Let them eat cake. While America is trying to find out, using those apps to find out where the cheapest gas is, and going to grocery stores comparing what they spent last week on the same item. Also, when you're looking at home prices, if someone dares to try to buy a new home, those prices are sky high now. For the president this week, when he signed that $70 billion immigration bill, and a reporter asked him in the Oval Office, what do you think about inflation that's now at 4.25%? Oh, I love inflation. Who says that? And the people that you are serving are hurting. And then he says, well, once the war is over, but it's back and forth. I'm coming up with a deal, but we're going to strike. It's back and forth. So you cannot trust that. But let me tell you one of the telltale signs for me. The white male farmer who voted for Trump, that forgotten male, who voted for Trump and who's having problems with their fertilizer coming for crops. Also, the fact that they've been lied to, you know, look at what's happening to soy for some of these farmers, and look what's happening to meat for some of these agrarians. The bottom line is the people are hurting, and you're having a grudge match in your so-called Coliseum. People are hurting. Where's that? That money could have gone to some kind of project or initiative to help the people. And that, what you see in Ohio, not only Ohio and Minnesota. On the T this week, we had Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, yes, of Minnesota, and she was saying that there is hurt there. The economy is in a crunch, just like in Ohio and everywhere else.
Yeah, and just to put a point on that, first it was tariffs, then it was fertilizer,
yes,
and now actually it's screwworm, potentially.